Y'all, infidels, early morning here. Hackerhamin.podbean.com, where it was all a dream. We used to read ESPN magazine, Tom Brady and Gronk up in the limousine. Yo, you know how it is. It's the Super Bowl post-halftime blowout Illuminati indoctrination ceremony here on your Monday Locker Room, infidels. Y'all. Yeah, man, here we are. I didn't happen to wear my diaper on my face, and my red jacket's still getting dry cleaned, so I'll be ready for the next indoctrination ceremony. I'm working on my choreography. I'm doing all of that, just to appease the cabal and gay mafia. But there's only one man I got to appease right now until we get a double down here. It's RBV. He's over strong on the coin toss. How you doing this morning, pal?
Ben, just like you, both of us up late. We're cashing in those big bet tickets. Both of us had a hell of a Super Bowl Sunday, but we're up early, bringing it back again. The Monday Locker Room. We got a lot of football to talk, and that's fortunate because there's not a lot of wrestling news out there today.
That's fine. Big shout out to our boy JB, Javid, obviously running the season, running the Pick'em challenges, but definitely our ace in the hole when it comes to running the numbers for Bovada or whatever, giving us the best looks possible, and he's had a good week too. He's at about 70% calling it. So if you guys are into, I don't like to tell people to start blowing money they don't have. And if I lose more than $4, I'm ready to murder somebody. So I'm not the best. I'm not the best guy to go to gambling wise, but I like to win. And Javid, usually increases that almost 200% on some things. Then whatever I win, I usually turn around and do stupid parlays in UFC and then get pissed because somebody blows it. So, it was a big UFC weekend. It was a good time watching everything that was going down there. I did decent there, and then Super Bowl as well. So
how was your Super Bowl picks? How they turn off? You said you had some good success.
Yeah, well, I try and go to people who are pretty regularly, like they know what's up, and it was tough for me because I had them coming in from both sides. People were like, Chiefs are going to blow them out of the water. And I was like, really? And then I heard more and more Bucks. And then I heard 3 of the Chiefs linemen were pretty much done. And I was like, that was my deciding factor of there's no way, like the defense they just looked outclassed, just size wise, everything. And they shredded them. I'm surprised there weren't more sacks on Mahomes, but the guy is such an unbelievable athlete.
He was running for his life, though, quite a bit, and Tampa was just swarming. You're right. They had both tackles out, and rightfully so. They exploited it. They went right at it. Tampa defense was all over, like you said, and they had Mahomes all over that backfield. And every which way he turned, there was a Buccaneer defender waiting for him. They brought the pressure, took out one of the most powerful offenses in football there. I had Tampa Bay. I thought they were going to go over, but not in the way that they had. I didn't expect it to be a squash whatsoever. Myself, I hit on the coin flip. Old heads came through for me there. First score, last score. Took the Bucks over strong. Got the under. Hit the MVP. The only thing that got me was I lost on the Gatorade color. Okay, it was yellow, and I went with good old orange, and it didn't come through.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's been a hot weekend in crypto coin too. I just see in our chat room that Musk bought 1.5 billion of crypto after it had dipped to 36,000. It's up to 43,000 right now on Bitcoin, dude. It had taken a dip and now it's spiked like I've never seen in a long time, man. So it's jamming right now. I took a little bit out of. Again, here's me playing small ball because I cannot stomach big losses. I fucking will go to someone's house and with the gun, I definitely have to chill on it. So, but Dogecoin is way up too. It's up to 7-8 cents right now, and I bought in about 3 cents. So I peeled off some of the profits and put it right back into weed. Not to smoke, but to invest in, Podex stock. So it's like the market right now, if you're playing it, light, or some people like, man, I won't mention their name, but they were in the chat the other night, like they lost $2,000. Nah, dude. Nah, I can't. Wow. There's no way I could do it. There's no, then they probably made it back though. They probably made 6. So It's just that volatility. I got to stay small, play small.
I do got a fun stat from the Super Bowl I was going to share with everybody. I'd mentioned this over on the Bottom Line Sportsbook. The big winner for the Super Bowl, the largest bet that was placed on the game, and it paid off. A guy who's big on he makes huge wagers on these big games, nicknamed Mattress Mac, a small business owner. So he's either has a mattress store or he's a pimp. But Mattress Mac cashed in on a ticket of $3.46 million for the Buccaneers to go over.
Wow. And that was at plus 125. So he walked away with probably close to about 9 mil, eight or 9 mil. Wow. Good for him. I mean,
there's at least one happy SOB out there today.
Dude, $3.4 million to lay that down on a bet. How could, I mean, you got to already have 20, 30 million to be able to do that. You couldn't put your bankroll down, but that's just unbelievable. Like fucking insane. Like, you know, I'd like to be able to ball at that level, but even I think if I had 20 million in the bank, I couldn't bring myself to bet $1,000 on a game. I just fucking couldn't do it.
You know, you can make those kind of bets. You get up to that like triple D level. When you're balling like that, you know, you can make them kinds of bets. So, like you said, though, Ben, it's, you know, I'm the same way. We kind of nickel and dime it, you know, $20 here or there. That's
plenty. $20 is the fucking ceiling. And that's only when I got, you know, from the guys who I trust the most. Like one time fucking Hartnett told me somebody was backstage with diarrhea and puking and they had to go fight. I was like, that was the most I ever bet $30 against that fucker. I was like, if he's fucking feeling like shit, now ain't the time for a UFC fight. And he got knocked out in the second round.
Have you, or maybe anyone that you've been able, that you're close to within the locker room? I've always kind of wondered that in professional wrestling. If you're feeling a little queasy, something ain't right, what do you try? How do you try to handle that? Just get into the match, get the hell out of it, or are you out there
dude,
squeezing those butt cheeks together, just praying that you don't take a bad bump and
pack a muffler, put some toilet paper in your fucking ass and your singlet just to make sure. So when you get slammed, because guys have been sick, catch a slam and shit their pants, your body just fucking hits that mat and it pushes it right out of you. So thankfully that's never happened to me. I have fought twice where it was like coming out of, and you know, I don't want to spread the flu, but the show's got to go on. And when you're in a storyline, you don't just get to fucking mail it in. So stay away from everybody. First of all, don't be shaking hands in the locker room. And thankfully, my spot only, I was a manager both times. I just needed to feed in to do something, you know, and it was over with. So I could handle that. The first time was way worse. I had like 103 fever and I was fucking dying, bro. And they're like, nobody wanted to be near me. So that was a fine day for me.
As you start getting back to work, you know, you mentioned the flu and the etiquette. You know, if you know you're sick, you got to take care of the rest of the locker room. Have you talked to promoters, or what is the interaction now of the protocol, the different levels dealing with COVID and the talent?
Well, I don't know really, because nobody's back running. You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't know, because I know that you were promoting that you're getting ready for some shows. And they talked to you about, hey, make sure you've got a test that you can prove.
Well, I'm just
48 hours.
Yeah, there's no shows. It's just I'm staying ready. You know what I mean? So when we do, if we do come back, I don't gotta get in the ring and be like, oh, 7 months from now I'll be getting in shape. I just took time off during COVID. I want to come back, and because my career doesn't have much time left on it, so I want to get it all done. You know what I mean? And be done with it. So when it comes to it, handshakes will be banned. Like that's the biggest thing, especially with new guys who want to show that they're in the industry, going around shaking everybody's hand. Maybe we'll fist bump, but the old days of the locker room handshake are dead, and we're getting tired of it anyway. So maybe that's the best thing to come out of COVID. I'm sure social distance, like there's so many promoters out there that are lefty SJW pussies now who towed the line, and they exposed themselves, a lot of them, during this last time, and they're cheering and yay, but the people they elected are going to delay their shows even more. They're going to close the borders even more. They're going to keep from getting back to normalcy even more. They're going to use hanging it over your head even more. Although last night during the Super Bowl halftime show, they were battling back against them, which was interesting a little bit to me. So I'm sure they'll try to keep social distance, because what's going to happen is anybody that's got a commission that comes in, an athletic commission, is going to use those new protocols to fine them, get some type of money out of them along those ways. New protocols mean taxes, and we call it what you want to, you know what I mean? But they will hammer on them, and some fucking goofs won't abide by it, and then that's fine. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that being in a fucking sweaty ass locker room and just being 6 feet away from somebody is enough to keep you from fucking catching whatever. If you believe that, you're totally mind controlled and delusional at this point, you know? So we were just out in the ring in our underpants, sweating and rolling around with each other, but 6 feet, please, so I don't get COVID. So there'll be that. There'll be all the testing. They already made us in New York in the last 2-3 years go from just having a doctor, which takes blood pressure and your pulse before you go out there and make sure everything, you know, is pretty well where it should be. And then they started making them pay for an ambulance to be there the whole show, which some small municipalities, you can get it for free from some good old boys. But a lot of places, if you're playing Rochester or whatever, that's fucking $250 an hour. So there's $750 on a 3-hour show. So your show gets scaled back right away. So there's that. That's kind of good. But dude, it's an indie show. You got $500, $300 to $700 to pay the fucking ambulance to. And why do I need an ambulance if I got to hire a doctor? All the ambulance is doing is going to take me to a doctor. I got the doctor right here. So they'll now be a COVID testing nurse specialist with instant tests and all this type of shit, dude. And it's just going to be more of a pain in the cock.
Which state commission is more, I guess we'll say more of a headache, difficult to deal with, because you've been on both sides with two tough ones, New York or Kentucky?
Kentucky's way worse.
Is it? I've heard that
the guys in New York seem way more pro. They show up in jackets. One's a doctor, but they're all good guys. I've never seen, I'm not saying Gutterman and those guys aren't good guys, but they're there to fucking zap dudes just to fucking be like, got a WWE superstar, fucked his career up, and they don't do anything. The guys who are in fucking New York are respectful fans. They're older guys who've done a lot, and you know, they don't come off as corrupt. That's just how New York is with bureaucracy. Like, these guys got a spot, and then they're fucking old schoolers and they're in there. And I've only seen them crack whip on guys who go out in the crowd and fight in the crowd if you don't clear it with them, or if you get color. That's another thing. Getting color will probably go away because of everything safety regulation wise. You can't bleed on purpose. And a lot of that is in there now unless you get it cleared. So but I've seen guys, and I like Tim Gutterman. He's nice to me and shake his hand and whatnot, but I've seen guys run and dive under the ring when they heard the guts here, because fucking, he's going to piss test. They don't do this in New York. They're going to pick 3 guys to piss test. 70% of us.
Really?
Yeah. 70% of us smoke weed. So usually he would think he's acting cool and being like, who should I get? And they'll be like, him and him. They know they're clean. They don't pick somebody who he thinks is clean. And almost every time that person pops. And like 4 of my friends, I'm not going to name their names, all suspended for 6 months because of that shit, bro. And then you have to go to their fucking meeting and appeal to like get your license back and do all this ass kiss stuff. And they don't do shit to promote shows. And here's the thing in New York. Here's the biggest difference. Kentucky's a scam. It's $30 to $40 to get your license usually there.
Oh, I just had mine. It's $35 for a non-contact spot.
For a non-contact, right?
It just means you can participate on a microphone doing other things, but you can't take a bump. 35.
Did you mail it in, or did you have to go to Frankfurt?
Just a mail-in.
Okay. Well, usually we would take the trip to go, because I would have like half a dozen of them of new guys, and we'd all go get them done, you know, and then me and Power, me and Beast, or whoever. So imagine that. What's your license number?
I'd have to look it up.
But let's say it's 8,000 something.
It's up there. It's
now imagine not all of those licenses are getting renewed every year, but imagine half of them are 4,000 at $40. That's, like, that's just a steal. That's a money grab, bro. They don't do anything to promote the shows. They don't care about wrestlers' health and safety. They don't fucking, and this is a government office now, so.
As you mentioned it, because I have to look mine up because it's digital now. It was $35, and if I wanted a hard copy, it was an extra $15.
There you go, bro. So it's nothing, and they don't do anything. They just print it out on a piece of plastic and give you the card, or then they mail it to you. So what are they doing? They don't, and you got to go pay to get a physical. And believe me, the people who are setting the standards are morbidly obese people of like 300 to 500 pounds. So now I have to listen to you about my sport and athleticism, bow before your bureaucracy, pay money to finally get to go do a phony show. Like, they're just way out of control with that shit, and they really need to be abolished, to be honest with you. Like, have a standard of, like, you either have to have a doctor or an ambulance. That's all you need, right, to check them, because an ambulance person can check fucking blood pressures and pulses. If you can't do that, your ass shouldn't be on an ambulance, So the biggest thing is New York's not a money grab, but they get it on the front end from the promoters, because you have to have a promoter's license and you have to have the insurance policy, where I don't think in Kentucky you have to have like a big promoter's license that has to be grandfathered in. So everything's corrupt, bro, just to go put on a phony match.
What's funny there is you have how strict Kentucky is. Just above that, Ohio they don't have they're not as tight on their regulations. They do have them in place. There's no one out there really monitoring it. But because, just right across the river from where you guys were running there in Louisville, you go to Indiana and it's like the Wild West. You don't even need
it's like America should be. I'm not trying to put over Indiana because I'm not a biggest fan of the draw in the state. It's a nice state, and I've played a lot there, and there's a lot of great people there. But people are like, it's the Wild West. Well, no, that's just freedom. That's just what it is. It's not some throwback. It's what you become to normalize by being bastardized and beaten by these people who are just good old boys who found a way to fucking suck hole more money. And all you got to do is say, go fuck yourself. And then what are they going to do? Show up with a whole fucking SWAT team to shut down your wrestling show? Well, when you do that, your fucking company's over. You stood in the face of them and said, you're done here. You're done. You're done ruining guys' careers who've dedicated a decade. And you can come in and piss test for weed because this is old fucking good old boy ding 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 fucking Kentucky. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is fucking with it. But that's just another excuse for you to fuck with people, dude, and have some bullshit power, bro. I'm surprised some of these wrestlers who have been popped haven't shown up and kicked the shit out of these commissioners, because the guys are just like, career done here. I got to leave the state. Why would I stay here when I came here for wrestling? And I'm surprised they haven't beat the fuck out of them, because I've seen guys red hot ready to do stuff like that. But that's the biggest fucking difference, man.
The only thing that I really know of that is the pressing issue in Indiana is you have to have your bond insurance. And I think that can be kind of hefty, but outside of that, heck, it would be perfect when he jumps in here. Maybe we'll revisit this here, is because Beast is dealing with it right now. They would starting up the promotion, or in the early planning stages. They're looking at Indiana simply because to get away from the Kentucky BS.
But that sucks though, because if you're going to run a territory and you're going to really do it, and they're going to be the off of OVW, where OVW has their towns, but they're going to be a different product. You want to run the Ohio Valley. You want to run Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio. Hopefully you can get expansive enough, and it's only 4 hours away, to get to fucking Chicago and offer a different product. But if you're just like, oh, we're going to open up and we can only run Indiana because of the regulations, you're destined to be fucked over, bro. Like, Indiana's not that big of a draw. You can't beat up all the towns there and think that you're going to be able to make it. You need to build a big territory.
It's becoming a hugely oversaturated market, especially now, because it was, here, as you talk about that Ohio Valley, for a while, it was the only state running. So everybody kind of relocated there. So on a weekend, within a couple miles radius, you might have 3 or 4 shows running against each other. And there's only so much of a consumer, especially now, that's going to be drawn to professional wrestling.
And do you think when do you think Indiana is just going to be like, America, fuck yeah, and keep it like that? Or now that they see that everybody's there, what are they probably going to do?
Eventually, they're going to want to get their hands in that pocket as well.
You fucking got it, man. It's all corruption, dude.
There he is. Perfect timing. Beast, we're kind of talking about the differences of running here in the Ohio Valley as Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. As you know, I put it over as the Wild West. Ben says it's just good old America, the way it should be. Is Indiana very relaxed in their regulations when it comes to pro wrestling?
I already buried the gut testing guys and fucking 6-month suspensions and the greed of taking money for every year that you have to renew this license from people who are morbidly obese, but they get to fucking dictate your, whether you get to earn a living or not. And it's just a massive, ridiculous money grab. They offer nothing in return. They take everything and ruin careers. That's what their job is, really.
And that's where the system is really the problem, more so than the idea of having a commission. I'll say the answer is, I think, somewhere in between. I think if regulation was done properly and there was like a commission who helped people to have an area where they could find training and get better and find work, if they actually were actively helping wrestlers to be able to network and do better business, then that's a whole different story. But they do none of that. They take the money and run. And really, that's the issue. So I do think regulation could be a good thing if done properly, because you're going to leave people out that aren't properly trained, that are only going to hurt themselves, hurt someone else, and ultimately put a bad look on the business in general, where people that just are go out there without any training and run a show and kill the fucking business. And essentially that's happened in a lot of places, because you have these shit shows with untrained people, and then people have that idea for what professional wrestling is, and that doesn't do anybody any favors. So I think in theory, the idea is sound, but in execution, it's piss poor, and it's really an embarrassment to professional wrestling, as well as a detriment to it, really.
Absolutely, 100%, man. And so to be able to run in Indiana, that's just the way it should be. Sure, you got to have a promoter's license. Sure, you got to have little insurance policy and somebody there to either be security or.
I don't think, Beast, you don't need a promoter's license in Indiana, do you?
Not Indiana, no. You need nothing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Need a building.
That's fine. It's phony.
I did want to transition this into to ask you guys about some show etiquette. Ohio is up and running. I went to a show this past Friday. Had a great time, Battle on the Border Pro Wrestling. A lot of big names there, some incredibly talented individuals. A little bit of excitement for myself as I'm sitting off to the side there enjoying my beverage. And lo and behold, the franchise Shane Douglas decides to just toss his opponent at me like a dart. Absolutely did not see it coming, and it completely scared the shit out of me. but I will say I caught it real quick, and I sold it so that everyone around me really bought it. I about crapped my pants. But there were a few things there that I had noticed, and I wanted to talk to you gentlemen about, and it's from a fan's perspective, and then kind of what I'll sell something from the actual wrestlers themselves. I did want to jump in, from that fan's perspective. For you guys as performers, how important is the audience's participation? And what are you looking for out of them? And I bring this up because what I've seen there, and you hear about it regularly with the big promotions, WWE and so on, that the fans, that they take it upon themselves to kind of dictate the show. They want to be the focal point. They want to be the stars themselves, where the audience is very important. But to me, we need to know our job, and that is to play along and support the act that's happening inside the ring. If you got babies out there, support them. If they're heel, even if they happen to be your good friend, make sure you're booing them. Don't be kind of going against the grain, because it's going to take away from the show overall. What do you guys kind of look from the talent when you were trying to get the audience to play along in a certain direction?
At the end of the day, the talent should be working the crowd. The crowd's there to show up and have a good time. If you aren't getting them the cheer or boo, like, to me, it's like, go there and cheer who you want, boo who you want, go and have fun and let your hair loose and forget about the world for a couple hours and be entertained by what's going on in the ring. Now it's up to the talent, if they are talented in the ring, to make sure those people are put into that fantasy world for that couple hours and to really be enveloped in the storytelling and the characters that they're offering. And if they can't do that, then the problem is with the talent and not with the audience.
Well, let me counter that with you, Beast. Well, let's say, you know, that I'm at a show, you guys are working, and Ben is obviously going to be one of the biggest heels on the show. But because I do have a personal relationship with him, I know him. I see this regularly. As other fans, they're thinking, oh, I know that guy. We're cool. I'm going to make sure that I cheer him and I support him. I'm not helping Ben's cause there, especially with the other fans that he's trying to get that serious heat on himself.
Yeah, we're not really cool, are we? If you're fucking going into biz for yourself, you're not.
Absolutely. And I don't think a lot of fans realize that they think, hey, because I actually know this guy, we're buddy.
Then I gotta put on the fucking worker. Why are you fucking giving them? If you're a monster heel, why are you giving them that much yourself? Yeah. And if I came out there and I seen you fucking cheering me, I'm gonna say something to you so fucking fat. Why don't you go shove another 3-foot taco in your fat moron mouth, you half alcoholic? Yo, nothing. I don't give a shit about anybody in your family. You can go join them all at the fucking COVID resuscitation area. You like me now?
Right. I mean, that's
if I see you smiling at me like that and fucking all that, I'm gonna fucking do something to dig on you where you're gonna like, oh shit, and it might not be a friendly thing. So if you're a mark in the crowd going into biz for yourself because you fucking know me and you think it's cute and you're trying to fuck me up of what I'm doing, I'm gonna legit be hot underneath whatever I got going on. Man Beast is smart enough. He's fucking working me. What's the first thing Man Beast needs to do to fucking get a reaction out of me using the crowd?
I mean, call it out, right?
Well, not just the hacksaw spot. Number one thing. I come out, get my heat. You're on the corner, and I say, "Don't you fucking say it! Don't you fucking say those three little letters." If we don't have a USA chant going in the first 90 seconds, my opponent's a fucking retard.
Yeah. And as a heel, it's your job to find your heat. Rip tells a great story where about Honky Tonk Man. I probably told it on this show, or maybe he even has, where he went out at a house show or live event where he was supposed to be a heel and he was over. The crowd popped for him. So you know what he did? He came out and said, y'all like that Honky Tonk Man song? You want me to sing it again? And he went and he did it again. And he did it again. He did it about 7 or 8 times. So they're about to come over the fucking barricade. And then they took it the fuck home because it was time, because he had their heat. They couldn't stand his guts at that point. So as a heel, I'm not saying that's what you do necessarily, but there are ways that you find your heat. And if you're talented and know how to do it, you will find your heat. The audience is just an excuse of people that don't know how to work.
And that's all you need to do. He could have done that from the floor, right? They're yelling. They're pumped about it. Honky Tonk Man, he's like, damn, I know. Goes and does it 3-4 times. Now they're turning on him. He doesn't even have to get in the ring yet. Finally goes, now I'm going to do the curtain call, the encore in the ring, baby. Fucking gets in. He's a Honky Tonk Man. Fucking turns around. 1 DDT. Match. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need. Easiest night for everybody. And fucking, you got the crowd hot because you had to work them. You got the guys finish over. You're not going to do any more than that. They just want them to shut the fuck up, right? So that's all you got to hit them with. You don't got to go into a big match now because the heat is already there and established of what's going on. Also, when I go around the ring in the beginning of the match, I'm going to see and do, a quick look through my sunglasses of who I'm getting a rise out of. So if I am flat in the beginning, I can just go over and do something and look at that person. I know they're going to come up and go, you suck, da-da-da. Once I got them locked in, the rest of the crowd is going to come with them to support that one person in the crowd. So I don't need to outsmart them. And like usually I can verbally before the match starts, but then the babyface should go over and put that guy over. And now he's with the crowd and fucking da-da-da-da, and they can get another chant going at me, whatever they want. And we've got them in the palm of our hand.
Or you can even put it over in a smarmy way where it's like, well, I guess there's one brain cell in this whole town, so kudos to you all. You know what I mean? It's like it's all in how you put it over.
Yep. Well, when you gentlemen are going out for any match, if you've been there 10 times, if you've been there 1 time, how important is it to establish your stance? If you're a villain, if you're a hero. There was one match we had this past week, 2 incredible athletes. They went out there and absolutely worked their behinds off, but they kind of both went into the gray areas of they would pander to the audience a little bit, and then they were trying to work trying to get that heat on themselves, where they were back and forth, and it really left the audience confused as to who they should rally behind.
Yeah, that's a mistake. Like, there's guys who are going to give you a straight wrestling match who aren't going to be super heel, like a Dean Malenko versus a Chris Benoit. Both great wrestlers, right? You want to see a technical match, but one of them's got to strike and work heel a little bit to fucking be that. Now, that's one way, but if you're going back and forth trying to get yourself over as a baby, but then trying to get heat, that just shows that you don't really understand what your job is, and that somebody really needs to be defined as the heel, and the baby's got to get over. What's our business here? Are we putting heat on our heel, or are we making our baby right here going forward? If it's just a straight match and you're tweening in between it and it doesn't have any long-term business, you're just a mark for yourself going into business for yourself and not providing the audience with a clear-cut story to follow. And you're just worried about, oh, I can't make my heat just look vicious. I also got to get in my flippy shit that they're going to love me for. A heel needs to fucking work viciously, not that sexy, no fucking big acrobatic moves. So when the baby does it, he out wrestles him. Baby shouldn't be striking. The only time the baby should be striking is in retribution to when the heel hits him first. But these guys come out as babies and start punching right away. Well, now the punch is buried as a fucking heel thing. It's anybody can do it, and now we don't have the arsenal of paintbrushes to paint with out there because we just fucking let the baby face start striking instead of doing it on retribution.
And in 2021, I have a soapbox to get on. Let's limit the amount of strikes that we do. I mean, when you're throwing 30 punches at someone through the course of a match and they don't have a fucking mark on their face, how big of a pussy are you if you can't even make your punches don't do shit? You know what I mean? And so that's one thing that is this just a pet peeve of mine. But I'll say in regards to it all comes down to the piece of business too. The piece of business can be, we want to have a competitive wrestling match. If that's the case, then at no point really either competitor should be pandering to the crowd. And number one, it's only a certain archetype of wrestler that can do that. No two random guys can go out there and have a competitive wrestling match and make it look believable. Some guys just aren't that type of worker. But you have like someone like, a Bret Hart and a Shawn that could go out there and just do their thing. Like if you watch their Iron Man match they had at WrestleMania, at one point were they pandering to the crowd? No, their focus the entire 60 minutes was on their competitor and what they could fucking do to beat their opponent. And that's the only thing they should be worried about if that's the piece of business we're trying to put over. But yeah, if they're turning around and pandering to the crowd and then going back to competition, well, where's their focus? You're telling the crowd, are you here to pander to us or are you here to win? Mm-hmm. The message was confusing because they didn't tell the crowd. They said they wanted to do both, and that just doesn't make sense. So it really comes down to, what is your business as a performer? What is your job as a character? What are you trying to tell the audience your mission and your goal is? Is it to try to win or to try to get over with them? Pick one. It can't be both.
He's definitely spot on with all that, man. And the fact that if you turn and you're pandering to the crowd, well, now you're putting the crowd over and making them part of the show. And yeah, there's moments where we can do that. But if it's a Bret versus Shawn, they didn't buy a ticket to see the crowd and get the crowd over. The crowd bought the ticket to see them wrestle. So if there's a point where you're wrestling and it's 50-50 and then one guy strikes, well, that's the point in the match where the guy would go, what the fuck did you hit me in the face for? We're wrestling, bro. You want to fight? I'll fight you. And then in the middle of the match, we can step up the stakes if we want here. And I'm going to put this up here, even though not one of my favorite people to interact with. Mike Martin, heat, shine, cut off, come back, go home. That's the basic indie goof 101. Right there, like
that's a simple formula. Now that's not always the case. In fact, it shouldn't be always the case because occasionally you just get heat. Sometimes the baby faces just run rampant, they go over. But in a basic scenario, that is the basic of basic formulas.
But that's where people have ruined this business based off of that. Instead of having it happening, every match is heat, shine. So heat, I shut him down right away, jump start him, get on beast, beat him down, fucking put him in the corner, work something on him right away, shoot him off. He reverses it because he's not dead yet. It's early in the match. Better wrestler. I go in, he does up and over, hooks me, gets a pin, falsy right away. I get up, he comes up, gives me a Rana or whatever it is, and he's shining. I'm making the babyface look like a better wrestler right now. So then I cut him off, shut him down again, thumb to the eyes, whatever. When he's doing all this sexy stuff, I'm going to hit him with something small. Oh, my fucking eyes, glom him on the back, hit him with the smile maker, put him on the ropes. Fucking, so there's my cutoff. So his comeback, I grab a hold. He's fucking down, choking him out, fires up Hogan style. Here comes his comeback. He can't be stopped, pushes me off. Big drop kick. I bump another one. Come on. I fucking feet up, turn around. Man Beast gives me a big slam. Holy shit. Man Beast is fired up on grain alcohol. He fucking can't be stopped. It's like, you know, oh, I'm dead. Fucking, oh, up I come off the mat one more time. And then we take it home from there. So Beast can fucking, go up to the top rope. I can grab him in a bear hug and catch him. Fucking looks like I'm going to get him or whatever. He wriggles out and can do a victory roll and fucking pin me 1, 2, 3 because he out wrestled me. Super simple. No one's got to die. I can have a big, oh shit, oh fuck. And he can be out at the crowd celebrating. I got him out of nowhere. You know, we could do 100 different finishes out of it.
Or if it's a tag team match, we distract the referee. Revolver comes over, feeds me the moonshine. I spew it in Ben's face. He's blind.
Fucking here he comes, black, boom. I feed again, and fucking they come with the elbow. But Power gives me the fucking side Russian leg sweep. Man Beast goes up, drops a big fucking elbow on me. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm done. Eyes are burning. He did this shit, and I take that character all the way to the back while the mobile homers are up because I get the fuck out of the ring, give the babies the high ground, and I'm fucking selling what just happened to me. And they're fucking do it. Then we go into intermission.
Yeah. I like that. You go, you leave and you go to the fuck to the back. You don't sit there and bitch out the fans. Nope. That's not your heat. That's not your time.
Nope.
You had it.
And you hear me
get the fuck out.
He burned my eyes. God damn it. He burned my eyes. And then my whole is to come back and fuck with his eyes the next match. But you know, what Mike Martin's saying is
blindfold match, probably.
Yeah. What he's saying is the basics of most indie guys who don't understand it. Now, I want to go out and have matches not like that. That's easy for us, and that's, 101 for what we studied. I want to go out there and just have fucking no shine, no comeback, just straight heat, and then fucking out of nowhere he gets the win. And guys don't have any clue. That's a simpler match than what I just explained, where I have to be there for spots and feed and fucking da-da-da-da. I can go out there and get heat for 12 minutes, be blown the fuck up, and then in the last 90 seconds, the baby face out wrestles me, or I slip on a banana peel, take myself out. They get a small comeback and fucking finish, or a small comeback, I shut them down and fucking kill them right there again, and I look super strong.
And let's be clear, he doesn't mean that he's just going to fucking get heat. I mean, you're going to pretty much get heat, but there's plenty of hope for the babyface as well. The babyface doesn't just die because no one gives a fuck about a dead body in the ring getting his shit kicked for 12 minutes. So that's where, as a worker, you have to find moments of hope for the babyface to make it look like they might be getting ready to make a comeback, and then you shut them back down. But then it looks like a little closer, they might really make a comeback, and then you keep getting them to that point higher and higher. And
that carrot, you're dangling that carrot there.
And then finally, as a heel, you make the really big shutdown, like, oh, fuck, this is when you really got them. And then that's when finally they slip on the banana pill. They miss the big gimmick. Then the babyface finally has the opportunity to make the comeback, and the crowd's just, holy shit. And they just are so into it. And those are the moments that you work towards as a worker. And when it pays off and it's done properly, that's an amazing thing.
It's better than Heat Shine comeback match. And like, those are the fucking, they call 7 Deadly Sins match. And you can go listen to Al Snow talk about it on YouTube ton. But that's easy for a house show. If you're working long-term program, it's a completely different monster. And a lot of indie guys have no idea because they don't, A, work for TV, weren't trained for TV, and B, they don't work in a Fed where they've got a 6 to 3 month overarching build unless I work there, because the promoter's usually a mark for me and asks for help. And then I start building guys on a trajectory. And then usually out of those 4 guys, 2 of them will get it and the other 2 will fuck off and the business never gets done. But of those 2, we build a real storyline that can interweave. So, ultimately, promoters don't know how to book those matches either, just because they are not trained to. It's not like they're assholes about it. It's just like, let me show you. I get what you want, shine, heat, comeback, that like, let me show you this. And they're like, oh.
Ultimately, what you're saying here, Ben, what it sounds like is you have so many indie workers that are just kind of in that moment. Let me work this show, worry about the next show. where the way you guys are laying it out here, you're helping yourself get booked again. You're selling tickets for the next show, and you're moving yourself up the card, which means more pay, better pay.
You got it. Because even if I'm on at second, and if I know I got off of this and I leave my business open-ended, which is how I should if I'm on early and I'm just trying to establish stuff, then the next show, we're going to have a little more heat. That might be right before intermission. The show after that might be semi-main event with a payoff, and then a fuck finish happens. Jay Moore runs in, Bobby Bass does something on the outside, whatever. Then we build to the fucking payoff, and chances are I'm going to be the main event based off of what I did to start my story back in the second match in Popcorn, which guess what? At the end of the night, whether I worked 6 minutes in the Popcorn match and only had to get my heat spot to start the story and leave with my heat until I pay it off in the main event, the envelope is still the fucking same. So, you know, that's what indie workers who worry about, I got to get my fucking RVD Jerry Lynn standoff fucking after we do jump the leg spin, do the this, do the that, do the that. Ha! But now I'm a heel. Well, no, you're not. You just showed you're an athletic motherfucker, and you're more worried about showing Cirque du Soleil stuff than you are getting heat on this guy. So when it pays off, it means something for his career, or it means something for you as a heel that you're established at. They just don't understand because they've been trained by other indie goofs who don't get it either and never will. So you've got 60% of this business based on motherfuckers who don't know the right way to do things.
A quick little story I just wanted to share, Alan, because it got my mind thinking about talking about the pay being the same. Revolver, my tag team partner, myself, we got to work the Gathering of the Juggalos one year, which I will say actually was one of the most fun bookings that I've ever taken. I will say that. I'd love to get booked again for it at some point. But anyway, but the first night, the second night was a better night or day for us. We did a regular tag team match, and that's kind of our forte. And we had a really good little match. It was fun. But the first day we showed up, they said, you all are going to be in the Death Match Battle Royal. And the rules are basically 20 guys. And after the first 10 get eliminated, then it's death match rules. And I said, well, is the pay the same? They said, the pay's the same, but you can gig if you're in the second half. And I said, okay. So Revolver and I eliminated each other within the first 3 minutes of the match. You know, it's like, yeah, they can do all that.
But how many guys were in that match who go, sweet, I get to be in the second half?
Almost everybody else. Yeah. It was like they were literally shooting on each other, trying to be the last 10. It was like,
point proven.
Right? Go ahead. Go right ahead.
With the Stevie Richards rule. Get in, get out.
Yeah, dude, locker room winner. Like that shows you right there. And I'd like to work that Juggalos show too, because people have told me like you'd be fucking insane.
Tony Carnage was in it. He was in the last 10. Yeah.
But dude, like that goes to show like the difference of real trained workers versus indie guys who might be over in notoriety and can do some cool shit. They just still won't ever get it until they work with guys like Beast, Power, and myself who can fucking really show them. And then some of them don't want to hear it. They'll apply it in that one thing, but the next match are right back to their rotten shit. There will be a couple who will grab it and the light bulb will go off and they get that aha moment. And from there, they stop doing all this unnecessary bullshit and they understand where they are as a part of the show. You know, that's a big, important thing too. And, you know, there's just some people who are never going to get it. And that's when hey, can you watch my match? And I watch the first 2 minutes and you've already, you've killed everything. So it doesn't mean anything. And you've done shit. You've done a dive in the first or second spot on the show. Now the dive means nothing for the main event. So thank you. You also didn't know even where you are on the card. Guys can expose themselves a lot with that, with people who are top pros in this shit.
What is the appropriate and maybe more so inappropriate times for talents to be interacting with the audience? I know you've got before show, you're selling your merch, you're selling it at intermission. I guess more so about talents that come out and almost sit amongst the audience to watch the show before, after their matches.
No, that should never happen.
What are you? You're an audience member then. You're not a star anymore. You're a fucking
As soon as you give the audience an opportunity to stand next to you and measure up to you, you've taken away your ability to be a star. There's a reason the ring is up high above the fans, because it gives the illusion that you're just grand superstar that stands above them and as a star. As soon as you sit right next to them, then they can measure you up and look at you and realize, oh, actually, they aren't as big as I thought they were. You know what I mean? Or whatever it might be, whatever judgment they want to make, they can now make that judgment because they're sitting right next to you. So you're killing yourself. You're killing your own business by doing that.
Plus, if I go out there in full gimmick, which I never would, and sit down, unless it's part of my story to jump in, but fucking sit there just to watch man beast shit, or if I do it out of gimmick, which would be even worse, what's the audience going to be doing? They're going to be looking over there like, what the fuck's the wrestler doing out here? Is he about to run in? And now, if I don't, I've pulled focus from the guys in the ring. It's their time to shine. Get the fuck out of there. If you're out there just to do that, it's because you're a mark for yourself, and you're hoping that somebody comes up to talk to me so I can play superstar right now. Da, 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 da. And the more you're out there and exposed, especially if you're a heel, there goes your fucking heat, because it's small doses of the terrorist here, and then where'd he go? You never know where he's going to show up. If I stay out there and I'm talking and fucking da 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 da, then everything's blown. That's why I shouldn't be doing merch, but I'm going to make my money because I'm a fucking carny. But that's why I'm telling people I'll slap you across your face. I'll fuck your wife. I'll make your kid pick up dog shit off my front lawn. Like all that kind of stuff, man, just to get more heat, even though I am giving them more of myself. At least I'm trying to get a reaction out of them. Baby faces will go out there and do that are nothing but self-serving pricks who fucking need just a little bit more like, hey, there's this guy over there. Look at him. Da, 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 da. You're fired, bro.
Now, and I agree with that. And I'd say as far as selling merch, there's no hard and fast rule, but I say as someone that's done a lot of shows and helped set up these things, I've found and one thing that works, so I'm not going to say this is necessarily a rule, but I've found as far as booking goes, one thing that works is usually they're in the first part of the show. That's when you'd have the heels more selling the merch like Ben and get their heat and let the audience know, like, these people are fucking assholes. I don't like this person. And then at your intermission, after they've seen the babies perform and have the opportunity to say thank you for supporting me, and they had a chance to get over in their match, then that's going to help them push their merch. But I wouldn't, as a baby face, if you're after the intermission, unfortunately, I would just put the merch out there and I'd say that's it, because you're someone that's the marquee event, someone that they're going to want to see at the end of the show. And really, there's no point to going out there because you're killing your own pop. If people get a chance to see you beforehand, then guess what? They're not going to be as big of a reaction when you come out later in the show.
Or bring somebody with you trust to work your merch table for you while you're taking care of business.
That's the best thing. Yes.
You got it. If I'm in the main event, there's no way you're seeing me at intermission for merch, bro.
Right.
I'm a complete fucking asshole if I would do that. And then the other thing is, if I'm before intermission and I lose to get my ass kicked or whatever, I fucking go over, like I'll go to the back and then I wait till everybody to get out to merch, and then I come out with the flag, like I'm using it as a crutch, holding my balls, because I usually got my nuts smashed on something, because everyone thinks that's fucking hilarious when I get my balls smashed, and I'm fucking selling it and I'm gagging, I'm puking over in the fucking corner in the garbage can to sell. I just got my nuts smashed. And then at intermission, that gives them the opportunity to go, ha, fuck you. No, fuck you, moron. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, like to get back in between them. So they get to get their little reciprocity on me too for everything that I said to them. So it depends all on where you are on the card. They shouldn't see you or what have you. Or if we win the tag titles right before intermission, I'm staying in the ring. Come get your picture taken with the new tag team champions, even if it's heel. People want me and Kong together, bro. Like, people were like, yeah, dude, look at those scary bastards. And guys would be like to their little kids, you want to get your picture taken? And the little kids, no. That's when I know I've done my job. When, like
if that happens, nobody else should come out. It should be one team a show, and it's not necessarily to say, well, fuck everybody else. It's just them. It's you rotate it around. If everybody comes out every show and the fans get to see everybody every show, then what's special about coming to the next show so you can find out who else we might get to meet during intermission? You know what I mean? But if all the workers come out during intermission, then what's the incentive for them to come to the next show? Well, I got to meet everybody, so why do I want to come to the next one? You know what I mean? So it's actually a good opportunity to sell that as a selling point for a show. Every intermission, you might get to meet one wrestler or one tag team. And then all of a sudden, that's a special moment that you can rotate every show instead of, I got to see everyone, so no sense in coming back. You know what I mean? I hope the stories are really fucking good, because if not, they met everybody and you're done.
It's funny, Ben, that you mentioned Congo at Battle on the Border. He just lost the heavyweight championship. He had a tremendous run with it, but
didn't have me there. That's why. If I would have been there to have his back,
he actually has become so beloved there that he is one of the top babies.
I know it sucks.
Kids love him.
It happened in Canada, where we're working at Crossfire and Border Town. So we're tag champs at Crossfire as heels, but in Border Town, the same town that runs there, he's the babyface over champion, and we don't work together. It's the same fan base, so they fucking see us over here kicking the shit out of people, but they love him because, I don't know, he does have a natural lovability about him, but he doesn't do it on purpose. But there's something to be done with the big, fucking savage who has a heart,
he's trying to learn the ways of the world. Is there a gimmicky top babyface tag team? Because one of my favorite things, I love when you have a character like that, and then you have the endearing face tag team that brings him in. And he tries to kind of take on that person, like if they were like a hip hop tag team, then they put like hip hop clothes on them. You know what I mean? Like I love that shit.
They haven't, but they can, and that's the thing, because it waffles back and forth. So if you want him to be heel, all it takes is me showing up and fucking being the Kim Chi and talking shit to him and fucking getting him fired up. And you see that come over his eyes of like, yeah, you know what I mean? We played that game out. And
that's great. And that's where you do that for 2 years. And then finally the Savage has enough and turns on Kim Chi. That's the big moment. And then you have 2 more years of a babyface run. That's a good 4-year run right there.
Exactly. But he happens and the crowd pulls him back and forth because they love him, because was on Impact. So he's a star-made star. So, and believe me, Congo Kong is a worker and he protects his stuff, but he don't give a fuck, because he knows when he's a baby face, he's probably going to walk out with $150 more in merch money than when he's a heel with me. So when we're standing there as heels at merch together and he's just doing, and I'm telling fucking people in their wheelchairs, get up, you faker. I know you're just there for the check, you moron. Like, he'll start to pop and like he has to turn away. So my only fucking thing is to pop Kong when we're at merch as heels, to be honest with you, by saying obscene shit to fans that he can't say at all. Or we get if we just won, we'll like some woman will come up that's wants to get a picture with him and I or whatever, and we're all sweaty, and we'll definitely just both get on her as with all the sweat we can, and you just see her go from like yay superstar to like, ew, these fucking big gross bastards are all over me. So we have fun with it in a heel way, but Kong can be either. It's tough to do though in the territory that when we're in Canada, when we're one thing on one show and then 6 weeks later on the other show, it's different, We're
talking about that fan interaction, and it is a huge selling point. They like to be up and close with the stars. Should there be any rules for promotions when they're doing after parties? Should the heels be there? Should the fans even be invited to these interactions? I mean,
fans can be, absolutely. Fans.
Again, you might have one act, one tag team. You don't bring the whole fucking roster, because then again, why not sell an after party every show? Make it a point where now we're going to hang out with so and so after the show. But you know what I mean? And even then, I'm still not huge on it, because I still, I'm not huge on it. Anytime a fan has a chance to measure you up, but I know wrestling has changed in the sense that there are more opportunities, like there's conventions and things like that. So I'm getting more warming up to the idea, but I still say if you do it, you have one person or one tag team and you make it a rotation. So that way it's still a special event. And that way you don't get a chance to see everybody, because once you've seen everybody, then who the fuck cares about coming back? You know what I mean? In a sense, so to speak.
And that's the opportunity for the babyface to be working for himself, to build that relationship with the fans after the show. He can give them some of himself naturally, but he should still really be in character to some degree, because the fact is those diehard marks, and you see them at the shows, they're missing a couple chromosomes. Like they want you to go to Tully's and have a beer and chicken with them afterwards, because guess what? Those people are going to show up for ring crew. They're like, there's diehard 2CW fans who bring a whole catering spread. They don't ask nothing, bro. You show up at the shows, they're like, this is my part of 2CW to feed the boys. And they show these 2 women and her husbands show up and they fucking put out a whole spread for the boys, dude. I usually can't eat before a show. Like I don't want to fucking risk it, but like of puking or whatever in the ring. But dude, that's when you endear those type of fans, that's your diehard, and they're going to bring in other people. So there's definite value of having the babies mix with them and do that to keep bolstering your diehard fan base.
And to that point, not enough companies organize their diehards. You know, have a dedicated street team, but give them some kind of privilege that that shows your appreciation for them to be these diehard fans. You know, give them a T-shirt and give them a discount on tickets, or if they sell so many tickets, then they come in for free plus a friend or whatever. You know, find a way to organize your diehards to where you can give back to them and reward them for being dedicated fans, and in return, as dedicated fans, they turn around and help promote you and help get you over, so that way you can make more money, bring in more talent, and it's a win-win for everyone. The diehards get a chance to interact a little more and get more opportunities to see the shows, and then you continue to grow as a promotion and continue to get over that way.
And when you build guys like a Sean Carr or a Jay Freddy, who are 2CW originals and have worked everywhere, every indie, when they're hanging out outside,
Dogs of War going crazy.
Oh, she's up there too. They should shut up. Somebody, I don't know. When you get those guys over to that level on a 1-to-1 where the fans just love them because of the interaction and because of they see those guys fighting a Matt Hardy, they see him working this. When it's time for Sean Carr to beat or Kevin Steen, where he's going to go on to WWE and he's over, because of all that good baby face goodwill you built, dude, they're screaming Sean fucking Carr at the end of the show, like he's a bigger star and as equal a star because of all that you laid down and endeared over 6 months of them being at the place afterwards.
And I will say, speaking of goodwill, there is an exception to that rule as far as not having all the baby faces there at one time. And I just thought about this because we did a few of these things with OVW, is when you have a charitable reason, like you go to like a kid's home or a special needs thing, like that's a great opportunity, and that shit you actually do want people to see, because you want to show that you're reaching out to the fans that obviously, either, might have their own health issues or special needs. And those are the ones that you really want to endear yourself towards, because they really are the ones who, are just, it completely makes their world to be able to have the opportunity to interact with these stars. And it's awesome to have that opportunity to give back to them. So it's twofold. It shows goodwill as a company. At the same time, you're giving back to a really good cause of these fans who really, really, are endeared to these wrestlers.
It's called the Noble Edge effect in marketing, Brain Gems. You can look that up, but that's a lot of companies are going to do that. You're going to have, people who have learning disabilities or physical disabilities. Dude, you go to the DDSO and you fucking, whoever, you give them a dozen tickets, 20 tickets if they're going to use them all. They're going to make a whole day out of it, but usually it'll be one or two handlers who will bring 4 or 5 guys who live in a group home. Dude, those guys fucking life is made, bro. You know what I mean? To have that interaction with them and da-da-da-da. And some people are more developmentally disabled than others, but it doesn't matter. I always want to give them an experience,
And that's where you may, now that's where I would say, not to cut it off, like if you were to have the heels go, that is actually okay. You just don't have it on fucking camera. You don't show that. You know what I mean? That'd be maybe the one exception to the rule, and that's, obviously for that particular reason.
We did it at that Boys and Girls Club that wasn't too far from.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you can't be a heel. That's where even you've been, where it's like, shut up. You know what I mean? You're still saying things might be a little more, not so like.
They were playing basketball. They were playing basketball and we're there. And I know, like, little kids can kill my mystique quickly because I can't hit them, but they're out there playing ball, like all 4th to 5th graders. I grabbed the ball and I just walked on the court. I held it up. I was like, and they're all trying to jump for it. I go, nope. Who doesn't have their homework done? Who hasn't completed their homework? And like, all like 4 of them. One kid goes, I got mine done. And I go, how about you 4? No, go do your homework. I just stopped the basketball. And like, I'm an adult.
You knew where heat was.
Yeah.
Oh, they're having fun there. I'm going to end that.
Fun and homework. Two things they don't want to. So when we do the vice principal show, I say, tonight, I've bet your principal. I put it all on the line. He put a bet, all of you. If we win tonight, recess for the next month is canceled. No more playgrounds for anyone. No more swing sets. None of that. No! Screw you. And double homework. No! And then we lose, and the principal's over.
I was going to say, the principal's the biggest baby in the school district, the city, wherever. And
come on, bro. Like, it's that easy. You know what I mean? But are you going to take the time to get your heat, set the babies up to look great? So when you go under, by getting heat 80% of the match, not doing shine comeback, they're going, oh my God, they're killing Man Beast. We're not, recess is going to be canceled for a month. And then out of nowhere, I go to hit him with the flag, and the principal grabs it from behind on the outside. No, the principal stopped cheating. I turn in, take a stunner. Boom, they know it. It's stone cold. 1, 2, 3. Place goes absolutely ballistic, bro.
So, or if you want to get heat, you have the heel say, if the baby face wins, school is going to be canceled next week, and then the heel goes over.
Yeah, it's all in the setup of how you're playing them, bro. All in the setup.
Well, gentlemen, let's switch gears back to some Super Bowl related conversation. As wrestling got quite a bit of a rub on Super Bowl Sunday. We saw a number of superstars in commercials. There were a few there in attendance and some high profile spots. From AEW, we saw the Rhodes, Cody and Brandy. They were featured there at the Super Bowl. Jericho was also in attendance with his wife. On the WWE side, you had The Miz and McIntyre. They actually participated in a Super Bowl related event prior to the game that was hosted by Shaq, the Shaq Bowl, which featured some.
That's interesting that Shaq business with AEW and Cody, but they're working with the WWE guys because I would say Fox is making them, but Shaq is TNT, right? Or what? No,
he works for Turner Sports.
That's it. That's a weird thing, bro.
Yeah, so and it's even they have it posted here. It was on social media, and the Shaq Bowl was actually broadcast across all social media platforms. But you've got Shaq right there in the middle, Big Shaq surrounded by the Miz and WWE champ McIntyre, where they participated in the sporting event side of this thing. So a little bit of, I guess the marks are really taking this thing and running with it. Shaq with the WWE while he's seen on AEW television.
It is interesting. I guess just the exposure of the Super Bowl and it being on multiple platforms and not just exclusively to TNT or Fox or what have you. Maybe that was,
this seems like this was something, this is something that Shaq, this was done through his efforts, his charities or whatever it might be. So while not officially, partnered with the Turner Sports, TNT, TBS, but you do have, those different ties you can look at. Is this something that, obviously the WWE okayed this thing, but could there be lingering effects where they're not so happy about it?
I'm sure they're not happy about it, but they got to take it at the end of the day because their product is ruined and Shaq is moreover. So Shaq is the power player. And then it comes down to you either want your guys in this or you don't. And I think it comes down to, yes, we want the mainstream coverage, so we'll swallow our own bullshit and get Shaq over because otherwise we're going to lose out. Or would you rather not have him on there at all or have the controversy and have people talking about you?
We also saw in commercials, Ric Flair was involved in a commercial, but also in a couple spots we saw Batista and John Cena. Then a fan had taken to social media and asked Batista if we could get him and John Cena in a buddy flick. You think it'd work to see these two up on the big screen together, Batista and Cena in a buddy flick? Buddy flicks are some kind of adventure, a road trip.
Them opposite each other, there's more money in that.
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, I'd see that because they're both big guys. The buddy flick thing would work if, like, with a smaller guy, like it would work with like a Batista, like a Drake Maverick or Spud. That would be like they're kind of already doing that story actually on NXT with him and Killian Dane. But like that's where the buddy you want a bigger difference between them, and I think they're both big, jacked up guys. So I think that type of dynamic wouldn't quite work. But I like the idea of them being opposites of each other, being adversaries in some way. It's all about the story. You have the right story in place, then sure it could work. But as with anything, if not executed execute it properly, it could also be the shits. It just comes down to what is the context of the story and them as characters.
What you're talking about is a gay mafia produced buddy flick that is, I also call those contract obligation, where you sign on to do one movie, but you have to do these 2 other shit burner films that are straight to DVD. So who the fuck wants to see that? Not me, especially with those 2 with no comedic punchline like a Will Ferrell or somebody in there. You're destined for doom. So chances are that film will come out in another 2 years.
It's in development as we speak.
Right.
Speaking of movies, though, I know you both been professionally trained. Beast, you love a good film. What series would you like to see be rebooted, remade, starring professional wrestlers, maybe WWE superstars? I'll throw one out there that I've always said I'd love to see them redo, and that would be Running Man, featuring an all WWE ensemble. Outside of like a main star.
So you got my brain turned in a different direction, talking about Will Ferrell and John Cena. I want to see Will Ferrell play John Cena Sr., except tell the story of a dad who decides that he wants to become a pro wrestler, and Will Ferrell starts telling that journey of training with John Cena to be a wrestler. That's where my brain goes. That'd be great, right?
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. That would be
Will Ferrell is
hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of switches we need. But there's so many people in all these production spots who are total idiots who have no idea what they're doing. Believe me, I've talked to a lot of them. I'd like to see, I'd go opposite. I don't think we need the one big cameo thing like Ocean's 11, but I'd like to see him mixed in action films, where it's like when we had Jesse Ventura and Predator and things along those lines. I think there needs to be more where Batista was kind of doing it with Guardians of the Galaxy, but he's still working a gimmick, like I just like to see some Black Hawk Down level stuff with them in there as soldiers. That's the stuff I like.
Yeah, like they did that one Netflix movie. I don't think it ended up being a critically acclaimed or anything, but like I know they did that one war movie. But like, yeah, you have like just a badass, one of the more tough guy wrestlers and playing a sidekick role. But then it shows, oh yeah, I remember him. He's one of the wrestlers.
It's kind of the role that Austin has kind of settled into when he makes appearances inside film.
But you kind of know it's like Austin. He either just shows up as like the longest yard, as a dude that's got to play ball, and you're like, oh, they're here. Give me something where it's a real story, meat and potatoes about, this division of troops in Iraq, and he's playing this guy based off a true story. And then Austin is just like the colonel back in fucking the tent giving logistics stuff. I don't need Austin out there kicking ass either. You know what I mean? Like, make these guys into viable properties instead of, oh, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin came to hit this shit on this guy in slow motion. You know what I mean? To get somebody over. That's when wrestlers are essential, but they're also misused.
Or also like them as a bit character for establishing the main character, kind of like what Macho Man did in Spider-Man, and he was the bone saw, and he was this epic character that the babyface overcame to show that he was, but we get to establish Macho Man as this badass character that was it's still a stepping stone, but in the context of the movie, it works. You know what I mean? Because you're watching a movie.
Rock as Roadblock wasn't bad.
Yeah, or a Thunder Lips and Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. That's where I think wrestlers really can shine in Hollywood, and it'd be a great opportunity for them to still be in the public eye without necessarily forcing them down our throats. Because at the end of the day, there's not too many wrestlers end up being able to have necessarily the acting chops to be able to have those feature roles. A few have, obviously, but I think having those kind of bit parts where they get to play more the context of a tough character, I think those opportunities can really work for these guys.
The only opportunity I'm looking to work for right now is for us to get to the Monday morning monologue. You got one of those, Beast?
Yeah, I do. It's about that time. It is. We're about an hour in, so why not? Let's go into it, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on the day after the Super Bowl, and my favorite part of the Super Bowl really is honestly usually the commercials, but I'll be honest, I was a little bit underwhelmed this year. I don't know about you guys, but I saw Gwen Stefani and I just thought to myself, don't speak. I just couldn't help but think that. I don't know. I also noticed the beer ads, there weren't any for Corona, and I have to assume that it's because they've gone viral. So good for them. You know what I mean? So Tom Brady, he did it. He led Tampa Bay to a big win. And if you look at the stock price of corn this morning, it's already a buccaneer. And Mahomes, he just couldn't. Mahomes couldn't get the job done. He couldn't live up to the hype. And I'm just excited to have this dollar because I know at the end of the day, I'll still be able to get 4 quarters out of this. So, and I'm happy about that at least. And I would make a joke about his receivers, but I think it would just go over their heads. You know, I just can't do it. But I did realize the Chiefs, though, something I did find out about them is they're a lot like my messy neighbors. They just can't figure out how to pick up a yard, you know. And I got one more. Can I do one more? And then I'll go on. I think the Chiefs, though, they have a bright future at Chick-fil-A because then at least they won't have to work on a Sunday. So, you know, things are still looking up for them. But let's look at some wrestling news. Wait, I do have one more. Fuck, I fucked it up. No, but this one's a good one. The good news is Kansas City may be that much closer to cannabis legalization because now the world knows that they know how to get smoked in a bowl. So that was the football closer. There you go. Now into the wrestling news. Sports Illustrated recently interviewed NXT Cruiserweight champion Santos Escobar, who comes from a prestigious family of luchadors. But unlike his family, he has taken his mask off and has learned that there are consequences to face. Yeah, I went there. But you know who else went there was during last week's SmackDown on Fox. Impact Wrestling star Kiera Hogan went there as she posted tweets seeming to suggest that WWE SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks is imitating her look and style, saying she is often imitated, never duplicated. So yeah, that's a thing. She said that. Yeah, writes itself sometimes. You know.
I know.
Drew McIntyre, he is a big fan of The Fiend. I don't know if you knew this, but he doesn't think the character should be in the WWE title picture. When Bray Wyatt was asked about how he felt about being out of the WWE title picture, he simply said, "Let me in. Come on. I just want to be in there. Let me in. Come on, guys." And yet another interview with Sports Illustrated, John Cena revealed that he will not be involved with this year's WrestleMania 37 event. So for anyone hoping to see the Doctor of Thugonomics at this year's WrestleMania, you won't see him. No. Yeah.
Sorry.
Low-hanging fruit. Got to grab it sometimes. Speaking of low-hanging fruit, the Wrestling Inc. Daily recently interviewed Conan, who during the interview revealed himself to be an advocate of intergender wrestling. No word yet on whether or not this means that Conan wants to choke a bitch. He might want to.
Yeah, I'm sure he has.
Last but not least, in an interview with Sports Skeeta, Peyton Royce said that she was not aware that WWE would be splitting up her team with Billie Kay until it happened in what may be one of the most lackluster tag team breakups in recent history, in a moment that can't really be considered iconic. Ironic. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your Monday morning monologue.
Yeah, that was a goodie beast, no doubt. Post Super Bowl, getting all of his halftime shit in. That was excellent. And
all the football jokes. I had too many. I lost track of them.
RBV, you might have to make a trip over to Dippin' Donuts. Triple D just sent me. They have the giant oversized.
Oh, baby, look at those.
They even got a coconut cream one as well. So I got to post.
Oh, very nice. He's got to branch out a little bit. We need one of those here in Southern Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, he's only running 3 shops by himself already.
What's one more? 7 states away. No big deal, right?
One more, not too far, just two states away. You just got to cross Pennsylvania to get there. But yeah, man, excellent work as always, man. Beast, no doubt. For your Monday morning monologue, Infidels post Super Bowl. Whatever. I'll talk about the Illuminati show on Russo brand as he's down with eye surgery today. So tomorrow over at Russo, it'll be Stevie and I quarterback in that one most of the time, but we'll run all of the halftime showdown, I'm sure. Bad Bunny killed it. I thought he fucking did a great job.
You know what's bad? With that halftime show, I tuned out for it. I went and did some other things, but I did realize, I didn't know who Bad Bunny was. I felt terrible because I'm that far out of the loop. I had no idea who The Weeknd was either. So
you shouldn't. These are manufactured Sony properties, bro, that aren't talented. Like what I watched last night was a bad version of an American Idol audition with full spectrum on it. The guy's voice isn't impressive. He was just standing where they told him to and possibly lip syncing 60% of the time. So they want to, one story we got to kind of talk about, and we don't have to, and it's probably going to be the heater story, but the Tyler Rex bomb drop, you didn't know.
I had it to close. That's what I was going to have.
Let's run it so we can get out of here early today. I got tons to do.
Well, as we know, Tyler Rex, just at the end of last week is really when the news broke. A special coming out. Is this on a regular television, or is this going through like a streaming platform where they're going to kind of detail and walk us through the transition? Is now Gabe will be known as Gabby. And this seems to be something those that had known him for quite a while, that this is he's been moving in this direction. Famed WWE superstar, saw some good success in NXT, been removed from the game for a while, has now decided to transition from male to female. I guess is the overlining tones here, correct?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything much left out except the fact he's got a super hot wife.
Well, they have a family. The wife, they have a child together. They actually run a fairly successful fitness company.
Longer.
But it seems that she, from what we are seeing here, from all accounts, she is supportive. It sounds like they might stay together for a while. I did want to ask in this, she's kind of in a no-win situation. In this, isn't she? I mean, she kind of has to roll with the punches here, say all the right things, no matter what she's really feeling inside.
Why? Why does she have to do that?
Just in this environment that we live in today. I mean, you've seen how social media also, they're really embracing this thing.
So your life can be put into shambles, and you have to fucking put out a PC fucking answer for fear of backlash of homophobia.
That's how a lot of people feel right now. That if she would, if she leaves,
that's how a small minority feels, where they're pigeonholing her to be able, because she can't stick her head up, they're daring her like whack-a-mole to leave them and say something so she'll look like the fucking inconsiderate one. That to me shows how fucked our society is, and the fact that this is a perfect point to be like, not paying the lip service for it will show that you actually still have a fucking rational thought in your head, and your mind isn't completely warped by a gay mafia fucking push that has now tried to blur the lines of what is and what is a majority to 95%. Now a 5% pseudosexual, sexually dysfunction minority gets to fucking have all of the shine, light, and glory because it's a new day. Yes, it is. And we have to try and adapt to these principles that they're forcing on us. Absolutely not. This is mental illness. I don't care what the fuck, bro. At the end of the day, and I've seen it with actors. I know actors who are on Netflix now who got their spot on Netflix because they've transitioned and even gone post-op. And I looked into this because I was like, what happens post-op to these people? Because once you make that commitment, there ain't no going back. And I read an article that 70% to 72% of post-op transsexuals who transition and have massive regrets later of cutting their cock off because they realize that they were just in a fucking very strange, mentally dysfunctional place, and they made that choice because a community backed them behind it. But up to 70% have massive regrets later and they end up actually dressing more like a man and not a woman that the rest of their life. So they don't put that over. They just put over that pat on the back. Tyler Rex is so brave to come out and do it, when the reality is it's probably some latent homosexuality that's been covered for years in wrestling, which is a very testosterone based thing. Him being in the locker room, feeling some way about his coworkers and never being able to do it. Meanwhile, he has a beard wife to fucking put it over. And now it manifests itself after years and years of closetry into this very, I'm going to put it out there, strange and deranged fucking lifestyle of wanting to do this because it's pop culture and having a fame addiction, and knowing that this time during SJW, well, they'll put over the wildest shit where fucking drag queens are stripping at your fucking library in front of a 6-year-old, and they put that kind of shit over that's the norm, that this was obviously the path he needs to follow to become Gabby, make his child's life ridiculously hard, and now his super hot wife is sit there left holding the bag to go, I don't want my life ruined, so I'll support my husband while he goes through this shit that was a Kardashian nightmare, that she's having to live through, and put a face on it, while the SJW wrestling community goes, so brave, and not so mentally ill, so ruining two other people's lives, so making us have to buy this SJW line of thinking. And if you go against it, we're going to strike out against you, because we're going to call you homophobic. We're going to cancel you. We're going to do all this shit, because that's the whiny pussy power we have, instead of going, this industry is run by 3 people in entertainment: queers, carnies, and drug addicts. And what do you think this one is? It's pretty blatant, in my opinion. And I'm tired of having to be like, oh, I'm a normal. Well, you can't say they're not normal. Dude, when you're doing that shit, it's abnormal behavior. I'm not going to support the normalization of this type of stuff, dude. If that's who you want to be, that's fine. But to put it up on a pedestal like it's a brave new fucking day and everyone needs to run out there, I'm not the one, and I won't be the one. And everyone goes, well, here comes the Black Friends argument. Dude, I grew up in the theater. I know every stereotype of a homosexual that you want to fucking put in front of me. I've worked with them. I've been friends with them. I had them as friends. And this type of stuff is a mental breakdown and a mental disorder, in my opinion, when I see them going through that, because they really don't know who they are at their root level, and everything that they suffered with through their teenage years has and pushed down manifests itself in these types of behaviors more times than not.
Beast, how many promoters are blowing up Gabby's phone, looking to book a spot so far?
Well, I'd say the more interesting part of the story, I don't necessarily, one, I'm always conscious to marginalize any kind of a mental health issue, only because I know plenty of people that, have anxiety, depression. I don't necessarily want to, lump, mental issues all into the same category, because everyone has their own journey as far as that's concerned. And I don't necessarily, as far as the relationship, as far as, how it came about, I don't necessarily know, necessarily how, but I can't help but feel like the story and the question is this at all a play for getting him or her into AEW for something with Nyla Rose? That was my first question when I first saw the story. Is this all of a sudden coming out because it happened a couple months ago, and now all of a sudden he's or she's, coming out with these interviews and trying to get the name out there? Is this a play to try to get back in the limelight and try to get back into wrestling? That's my question.
And that's piss poor too, because they put it with Nyla, then you're going to have 2 men going out and fighting women and then selling for the women and making wrestling phony. And it's just more of, here, you take this spoonful of salt and we'll tell you it's sugar, and you'll change your moral code because we're going to drive it. We're going to drive, even when in your gut, you're like, this is fucked up and wrong, bro. This is weird and wrong, and I don't want my 6 to 8-year-old who don't have sexual thoughts having this driven in their mommy. Why does that woman look like a guy? Well, it's because and forcing that conversation. That's what we're doing here. That's the real MO of what it is, dude. And now to the point of whatever they wanted to do with all of these sitcoms to normalize gay marriage, which they fought very hard for. And for them to have kids or adopt kids or artificial insemination, whatever, no problems whatsoever. If you want to live a normal life as a gay couple, raising somebody and teach somebody about love, that's fine. When you start doing this type of gender confusion stuff with little kids around, that I'm saying no. Like, you're really showing that you're not mentally there. How can you be doing this? And GGP sent in the Horseman chat a piece the other day where it's, the kid's face is blocked out, must be 5 to 6 years old. There's a transgender, man, transgender to a woman, talking to them. And he's explaining, well, you may be transgender too, because you don't like to do boy stuff like run and jump around and be ruckus. You like to be quiet like girls and color and do those things. And telling a transgender parent is now telling a 5 to 6 year old that. to me,
well, you have that movement out there that wants to refer to where you don't identify an infant as either sex. They are babies until they turn 4 years old and they can decide, which is it's the ultimate line of bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sad because I know so many great gay couples who aren't like that. So we have this, what's the shows that they're like, name one, Modern Family, right? You get all that way, and then you bring in the small minority of the weird transgender stuff that's going to make middle America go, what the fuck? You did the Trojan horse slow play of we're all going to be married and and just have normal lives, and we just want what you want. But then when they get there, here comes this shit. Here comes transgender parents trying to condition and break the minds. And you don't see a gay community standing up going, no, we're not doing that. Nope. They push it all right through there in this weird behavior to try and destroy the confines of society. And what really is in a majority of 95%, you either got a dick or a pussy and you're a guy or a girl and you like one or the other. Now everything's got to be bisexual at age 6 to 8 years old. There's something seriously wrong upstairs with them.
Absolutely. I'd be close to my nephews, 6 and 4. They don't see the world like that.
Not at all. And now these deranged people whose whole life is about sexuality and pushing, they're talking to that. That conversation doesn't usually happen until about 12 years old, right? Pre-puberty, and you're starting, but now that's their whole id, and you're putting that into a 6-year-old's fucking lexicon, a kindergartner's, bro. That's child abuse. And not only under that, you're a mentally unstable person if you think you have to do that to a 6-year-old while you're dressed as a woman, knowing you have a fucking dick because something scarred you back in the day where you just can't be an openly gay man who's effeminate and these weird roads that we go down. And now we're back to wrestling. And believe me, AEW is going to serve up that SJW pill, and it's going to not make their wrestling better. It's going to make their company look like a push for fucking some weird 2021 mentality instead of focusing on wrestling. Again, here's some politics that you have to fucking agree with. Otherwise you're going to get canceled.
In a bigger AEW picture, because, it's just not about with sexual orientation, gender identity, whatever. You see AEW is the quote unquote, I guess more, they are the progressive. They're trying to push that envelope. That's who they're catering to. Is that a large part of the reason why they really can't grow their audience?
Yeah, because they'll sacrifice quality, creative, and audience for a big fucking millennial push for their 30 to 40 something home confused neckbeards that watch their show, who are easily swayed by whatever fucking propaganda that's put out there to make them think that they're woke, when the reality is they're tearing down the confines of society for such a tiny sliver of a fucking minority, transgender, gay men. That's what for that, the rest of us have to fucking suffer.
How much of their locker room actually buys in to those philosophies, or are they just okay? They kind of realize this, this is BS, but we're getting a nice paycheck. Let's just roll with these punches.
I'd say only 10% of our real workers over there who are like, come on with this fucking guy. And then I'd say you've got 80% marks in the locker room. If you look at fucking the Dark Order, you look at most of their AEW Dark, those people are millennials who will fall right in line. And that's why they have jobs there, as opposed to the people who toe the line and would actually get you ratings, make your show quality, and be wrestling based and really be something. This is nothing more than a circus of freaks and never made it's to fucking parade them out there and say, see, we're stars too. You're not, though. You're really not.
Beast, any closing thoughts there?
I guess the issues or the parts about, necessarily the what they stand for notwithstanding, I'll just say it comes down to, as a story creator, anytime you marginalize an audience is never a good thing, because then you're limiting your ability to capture the hearts and minds of more and more people and more of that mainstream, which really should be the goal of any wrestling company, is to capture that mainstream audience. But as soon as you narrow it down and say we're only going to cater to this particular set of fans, well, you're narrowing down your ability to truly get over and to truly grow as a company. And really, that I'd say is more the shame of it, because then you're also not just limiting the ability of yourself as a company, but considering you're a national name, you're really taking down wrestling as a whole, because really anything you see on the television on the national level is a reflection of what people think of when they see wrestling at the local level.
Where, Beast, you're running a show and or you're on a show and Gabby's in the locker room. Where does she go to change? You ever change in the fucking women's room with the women?
I'd say, well, no, he was born. What's your, what were you born with? It's say, or you can go,
How dare you? It's not what I was born with. It's what I identify.
Well, I mean, you're put in that position as a
comfortable. The girls don't feel comfortable with you changing in their locker room, and you could change with the guys. Well, I don't want to. I don't identify as a guy. Well, then we'll get you your own locker room. Why? Why do I have to be ousted and feel like a freak in order to see where the fuck we are?
Yeah, but you can kind of see it in Beast's eyes there. He's immediately thinking about like a lawsuit or something. Are they going to come back and slap kind of legal on you?
You got it. And now in 2021 of where we are, of like, well, that lawsuit could happen and they could win because you get a liberal judge who says, no, it's what they identify as. And now you've stepped on this bullshit. There's where it is. You were changing with the bros, but now you don't want to change it because you want to be identified as a woman. A woman who knows you have a cock doesn't feel comfortable because it being put in that situation in the locker room. So now you can't make another locker room for transgenders. This is the Target bathroom argument, and fucking because that isolates them and makes them feel like freaks. So you now have to take the straight woman who doesn't feel comfortable, make sure she's isolated while you put the transvestite into the fucking women's locker room where all the other girls who probably don't feel comfortable either have to play woke so they're not blackballed in the industry. Meanwhile, the one girl who has fucking integrity and says, this is a fucking weird situation you're putting me in, has to go and be ostracized and be the one who's fucking wrong. See how fucked this is based off of somebody's sexual proclivity, based on their own mental illness?
When you think about it, it really, and all the controversy surrounding it and all the things that they're bringing up, ultimately at the end of the day, don't do them any favors, because as a promoter, thinking about all this and all the issues and controversy that could come around to booking someone like that on your show, it almost feels like as a promoter, it would be just a smarter decision just to avoid the controversy altogether and not book them at the end of the day. And so
you're going to get picked up by all the sheets. You're going to have all these people running with it. That's what they're looking for.
This is the woke SJW promoter who thinks they're going to bring him in and now is faced with this. Forget about even like, oh, I'm not booking because I'm not dealing with it like a smart promoter would. This is the dude who puts himself in a place. And now this is going to fucking happen. And it's going to happen more and more because we're not standing up and we're being brainwashed. And I'm not saying anybody can't live their life any way they want, but you're not going to use that fucking mode of guilt to try and get me to do another thing. And we're getting to that line as they push it. So they bring her into AEW, tag with Nyla Rose. Who do they fight?
I don't know. Janelle and Sonny.
Why?
I don't know. I was just thinking of another weirdo pairing.
The whole thing. So now it's men's, women's, and queer wrestling, or you have them fight the women. And do the women beat two fucking 6'4" men clean? Now we're making wrestling phony, saying that women can't beat dudes that we know are men super heavyweight because we have to look at them effeminately. Or you have both of them go over and kick the shit out of women. Now you're in the argument of the NCAAs where should women be competing against men, even if they fucking claim to be something that they're not anatomically? And we have to brainwash ourselves into that as well, because really they should kick the shit out of every woman. Or do we do intergender, but it's not really intergender because they both have dicks and they just dress like women, versus some men and we fucking show that. But now it's not intergender wrestling. It's just two guys dressed like girls that we have to pretend are girls. You're making your audience have to fucking rewire their moral code when all they want to do is escape and watch wrestling, not be fed this bullshit, bro. It is mental illness at the end of the day. And it's not something where the good brothers in wrestling who are trying to get a job on Dark should be going, proud of you, Briz. So brave. So this, so that. Meanwhile, the fucking 8x10s and the photos of holding the Queen of Spades or the Ace of, or the Queen of Hearts and the Ace of Hearts, or we're ready to drop like that, bro. Come on with the agenda. I'm not the one to sell for it at all.
All right, we got a new rule. Everyone changing their car.
Pretty much, man.
Well, gentlemen, I think that's we made it through on a very weak news and headline-driven Monday morning, but we got through a heck of a show. Ben, we'll throw up that X, man. Take us home.
Yeah, Allah, man. Appreciate all the ProWrestlingTees.com/Ben Hamin /Dr. Beast, SEG shirts, Stevie Richards shirts, all those sales you guys did for Customer Appreciation Day. I know some people were sending us the Conspiracy Horse and NASA shirt, and people were rocking the one from Greg Mosier as well, one of my favorite Conspiracy Horseman shirts. So a lot of cool merch out there this weekend, turning heads, you guys. I appreciate that. And broasterscoffee.com. You can get all the rants you want when I'm pumped up on Vince Russo Bro Coffee. And I got to post those big sticky buns for Dippin' Donuts and some ZordosOliveOil.com. We had some sales there, so appreciate that. I'll be on Russo duty all weekend long, or excuse me, all week long, as he's recovering from a kick out with the eye. So appreciate you guys hanging with us over there. Stevie and I should have some fun this week. And I know he wants to talk about the Illuminati halftime celebration. So we'll be rocking that big time as well. What else we got going on? Tons going on in the Pick'em challenges with the season. Hamin Media Discussion Group, Hamin Media Group YouTube. Great.
Hey, we're TikTokers now too.
TikTokers, Chris Mason out there, I believe, doing that big for us too, man.
Yeah. HMG Talk, TOK.
Right.
Yeah.
Going down. What else, man? Hamin Media Group, Patreon. Stevie put out some new inspirational stuff this week. Obviously, the Rip Rogers podcast with Beast is up there. I can't wait to listen to that today while I work out. So nonstop production here at Hamin Media Group. You guys know where it is, and you're the supporters, whether it's free side or our Patreon side. Thank you very much for all you guys are doing, being part of the community here. Beast, what do you got going down, man?
Of course, making those old people do those squats. But besides that, of course, going through my I guess education of cinema, in that every couple of days try to watch a flick. Tonight's is Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick. I believe it was his last film. Now, I have gone through many of his movies. I haven't gone through quite the whole collection, but I've seen the big ones. I've seen 2001. I've seen Full Metal Jacket. I've seen a lot of the bigger Stanley Kubrick films, Clockwork Orange. So I'm curious to see how his final cinema work plays out on the big screen.
You know about the conspiracy with it and everything, or no?
No, but I did see 0 Days, which is a whole other conspiracy. But no, I didn't know.
I can't wait to see that. No, well, Kubrick died on this film, and he's exposing the high-level Illuminati banksters that are in a sex cult together. And there was actually 20 minutes of this movie that is still unfound that was supposed to be even more exposing. So, I mean, there's plenty in it. You'll definitely be weirded out by it, but there's a lot of good tits and ass in it too. So
always a good time. It's very interesting knowing that, especially that they have the Hollywood darling and Tom Cruise in there. I wonder if that was like an ulterior motive from Stanley Kubrick to coax him in with the story, but with those underlying tones. I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I will say, although I've already seen it, if you're a fan of the Marvel universe at all, the latest episode of WandaVision was wild for those of you that are in that kind of realm. It was a big reveal that had been building over the last few episodes. For those that are uninitiated or for unknown for this particular series, it starts off with these characters in the Marvel universe, and they're through these different types of sitcom scenarios, like starting with old stuff like Dick Van Dyke and Bewitched and I Love Lucy, and then they're in scenarios that are more a little later, like Family Ties and Brady Bunch and stuff like that. And it's like, why are they going through the scenarios? And there's little clues through each episode. And on this 5th episode, finally was the big reveal on what the fuck is exactly going on. And it was pretty awesome when they can bring things full circle like that and now leave you with even more questions than what you started with. And it's just really intriguing. So I definitely recommend that if you're a fan of the Marvel stuff.
Excellent, man. Well, I'm glad you're catching up on all that stuff, and I look forward to your indoctrination into the Illuminati and Scientology after this.
Look forward to it. I hope the cookies and the punch is good, and I'm ready.
Well, you're going to be keep pressing on with the Sea Org. We'll be doing it here at Hamin Media Group. RBV, you all good? What's going down?
As always, keep up with me across all social media. Hashtag RBV Eats Out. Hashtag RBV Fitness at The Real RBV. And hey, hopefully this week, as we're talking about Patreons and all the work we're doing with these incredible platforms, Two-Man Power Trip's on board with us. And over on our Patreon, the Two-Man Power Trip Empire, our Legends House Party. We're going to have a major announcement about our first booking, and that's going to be an exclusive Q&A. You get to come in for one of these video chats, sit down with a true legend in professional wrestling and kind of pick their brain. And we're going to hope to have that first name announced this week. And what we've got in the works right now, it's going to be a blockbuster.
Awesome, man. I love seeing you and JP do great work over there at Two-Man Power Trip. You guys know so many brands to follow. Why would you go anyplace else but HMG, Russo brand, and Two-Man Power Trip? Free content, paid content. You just keep it locked here, infidels. And if I ever turn trans, you can call me Dyke Van Dyck on the other side, infidels. And Congo Kong, stop being a goddamn babyface, infidel. It's time to go back to work here on your Monday Locker Room. Yalla. Novos Ordos Seclorum.